Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast / YouTube / We Do It All. As always, I'm your host, John. Very happy to be here. We got a real special guest in the building, man. He not only is he the host of the Morning Drive with Danny B, he's also 1/3 of the Knicks Wall Podcast, and he's making his second appearance here on Clutch Talk, man. We got my guy Danny B in the building, New York Knicks legend. How you doing, my dog?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling immaculate. If my daughter wasn't sleeping like 30 feet from me, I'd be giving you the, what I'm saying, the energy that I had on the morning drive right now. So if anybody hasn't watched that, go to my Twitter page or my Instagram at Dan_NY_B and go find that last morning drive video because the energy is on 1,000. So if you need something, you're feeling like you want to just keep that hype going, go hit that because I'll give it to you 100%. And that's how I'm feeling. If you go watch that video, I'm through the roof. Like I'm talking like kind of low, but my energy's all the way up there. 100%, man. I'm ecstatic.
Man,
Knicks
I
and fire,
love
bro.
it. Man, I love it. I love it. I love it. And for the family out there, do make sure you check out all of Danny B's social media pages. Everything will be linked in the description down below. Get at him. That morning drive, I was checking it out, man. The New York Knicks are not mid no more. The New
That's
York
right,
Knicks are
bro.
not mid no more, man. So
Let's go, bro.
shout out Danny B, shout out the Knicks, and we're gonna have a great episode here. Today is April 27th. We're recording before the Celtics and Hawks game 6. So my guy, we saw last night your Knicks eliminated the Cavs, right? So talk to me. I know I see the excitement. I know your daughter's sleeping in another room, but talk to me. How are you feeling about this, and like how did you feel throughout the series? Talk to me. Your mindset as a Knicks fan right now.
Definitely. All right. So I'm gonna give it to you straight too, right? Because I feel like if you know me, I come off very positive, right? I'm always gung ho. I'm always kind of like even keel with an optimistic outlook. You know what I'm saying? But grounded at the same time. And I feel like going into the series, I was definitely confident, right? Like I felt like the Knicks showed me throughout the season that every time that they faced adversity, they were able to rise to the occasion. You know what I mean? And make good things happen despite the negatives that might be, outside or, revolving around, whether it be injuries or just narratives that keep popping up. They handled their business on the court, and it was a roller coaster of a season, right? 8-game winning streak. Then, you had a 5-game losing streak. Then you had a 5-game winning streak, then a 4-game losing streak. It just kept up and down the whole season. But throughout that, they kept showing you more and more. You know what I mean? And in my head, the entire season, I kept hearing progress isn't linear. And so every time that you take 2 steps forward, you might have to take a step back, step and a half back, but you're going to take another 2 steps forward again. The Knicks did literally that the entire way throughout the season, right? They started out early trying to figure out what lineups worked best. December 4th came around. They finally settled on the lineups that worked. Obviously, that was Sans, Cam Reddish. So listen, it worked, right? It is what it is. Yeah, you got love for a guy, but at the end of the day, it's the Knicks first and foremost, right? As you're a fan of the team, you're a fan of the team. You know what I mean? And it's always the team first, always for the fan, for the players, for the organization. That's how it should be, So you saw in the beginning of the season, this shift happened around December 4th. And all of a sudden, the Knicks started playing with, determination and grit and intensity. And you'd see it for a little bit. And then it would fade for a little bit. And then it would come back for a little bit, And I remember at first, it was like, okay, everybody's got to figure out the role that they're playing. Week or 2 went by, boom, you see guys kind of slowly falling into a role, right? Then it's where's the defense? Where's the intensity on defense? This is supposed to be the identity. Boom. All of a sudden now they're starting to pick up the defense, right? Now it's where are we getting beat in other areas? Well, we're getting killed on the 3, So how do we buckle that down? You need extra effort. You got to go out there and you got to get nitty gritty and get into the, the finer details, and you got to battle for every single ball and every single play. And you started seeing that happen. They made rebounding a priority. And that was evident, I want to say, back in January. And once they started doing that, that's when you started seeing those streaks come around, So now you get the 8-game winning streak. Is this real? Is it fake? I don't know. And they go on a 5-game losing streak. Now you got such a high, now you're down low. And they just kept coming back and showing you, listen, we got what it takes. And I think a lot had to do with the schedule. A lot had to do with guys going down, injuries happening. Mitch Robb missed a month and a half. Isaiah Hartenstein stepped up big time. He made a name for himself this season when Mitch was out. But you know what? When Mitch came back, he didn't step down. He kept that play right up here. And that's a huge piece to that. You had other guys go down. Brunson went down for a little bit. IQ stepped up, had a killer game with that career high against Boston that weekend, in Boston, stepped up big time that weekend alone when they beat the Miami Heat in Miami. And then the next day went to Boston and beat Boston. You know what I mean? It's these things that throughout the whole season that show me they have what it takes, to make a run, whether how far it is, but they're showing you they got what it takes. Then they get to the end of the season, right? And they've shown you all this, but they don't end the season on a great note. They kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit, kind of coasted the rest of the way. But luck, was kind of on their side. It helped, themselves lock into a fifth seed. Yes, they won the games that they needed to win in the last, 3 games out. So that helped as well. But they kind of, like I said, showed you, but they ended on a soft note. So now you're going into the playoffs against the Cavs, right? 4-5 seed lockstep. You got the whole theater. I know I'm rambling on a little bit. I just want to set the scene, because the scene being set, it just makes the taste of the food being served that much sweeter. And the food is the 4-1 victory that the Knicks ended up pulling out at the end of the day, at the end of the series, right? So we go into the Cavs series. What are we going to get? We don't know. You know what I mean? The Knicks showed us what they got all season long, but they didn't end the season great. Okay, now you come into the Cleveland game 1, you come out and you wreck shit, and they go up 1-0. Boom, let's get it. Game 2, shit happens. No problem. Series is tied 1-1. So now my head is thinking, all right, are these guys going to dig down deep and overcome the adversity, or is this going to be a back and forth? Because you got guys like Adrian Wojnarowski talking, bloodshed's going to be, on both sides. I see this going 6-7. How many media personalities coined this Cavs and 6, Cavs and 7, Cavs and 7? You know what I mean? And so this is all you hear, and now it's tied up 1-1 coming back to the Garden. Knicks haven't had a great home record this season, so but the fans showed out. Game 3, the Cavaliers never settled in. They never got into a rhythm the entire game. The Knicks pretty much led the whole way through. And you get to game 4. It's a matinee game. It's going to be a little different. They still brought the energy. I was at that game. I literally, every person that passed me, I said, literally, let's go Knicks. You're going to be loud? Wake up. Every person, I'm not even playing. Every person I saw, I made sure we were loud. And then we got to the section and we were loud. We were loud as hell. I had no voice. I'm still recovering from Sunday. It's Thursday that we're recording. That's what we did. And so that energy carried over to game 4. And the Cavaliers had a hard time getting settled in that game too, getting into a rhythm. And the Knicks, boom. Now you're set up. Now you're going back to Cleveland up 3-1. Pressure's not on you. Pressure's on Cleveland. Pressure was on Cleveland the entire time. Cleveland swung for the fences in the offseason and signed Donovan Mitchell. After they went they were the 4 seed last year, got out the first round, right? So now you just swung for the fences. You added a superstar. You have something to prove. And that was the pressure on them. Now you go back, like I said, to Cleveland up 3-1. You know how you came into Cleveland game 1, right? So I'm looking at that, looking at what we just came off, the 2 games that we won at home. And my thing was, you're in Cleveland, Ohio, right? After game 1, you won, great. Now you're sitting in a hotel room for 2 days doing nothing, sitting in a hotel room being bored. Cleveland, they're going back to their home. They're going to the gym. They're living their life just as they normally would. All right, no problem. So we dropped that game. We laid an egg. But you know what? Now we're coming back to Cleveland from New York on that energy. We ain't staying in hotel rooms for 2 days bored. You know what I'm saying? I just had a good feeling going into that. And they came in and punched them right in the teeth right from the get-go. Brunson, Mitchell, Robinson, underrated throughout the entire season, man. They took care of business, man. They took care of business. They went in there and they took it. And every time that the Cavs tried punching back, they had an answer. And that to me, it's telling. It shows that this team is full of guys that don't give up, full of guys that know what they want and show that they want it more. And what else can you ask for? That's a New York team right there. You know what I'm saying? So I know I was a little long-winded, but the fruits are sweet. You know what I'm saying? We got to enjoy the fruits of the labor.
Man, I love that, man. I love that. And that right there, sums up how Knicks fans have been feeling, right? And you talked about a lot in there. You talked about how the Knicks had a lot of contribution, right? You talked about Josh Hart. He stepped up huge defensively. We talked about Mitchell Robinson. We talked about IQ. RJ Barrett, even he was under pressure, under fire a lot. Had a big game.
Came out big time in games 3 and 4 and 5. The first 2 games, he definitely struggled a little bit. Game 1, his shot wasn't falling, but he still found ways to make an impact. He had 6 assists. 6 assists. So he had a game high assists that game. Right. So he still was able to. Game 2, he wasn't able to produce in that way, and his shot still wasn't falling. So there was a lot of pressure on him, right? Because he's had an inconsistent season to begin with. But he heard it, and he turned off social media. He went social media dark. You know what I'm saying? And blocked everything out. And he came and gave everybody the business, because game 3 at the Garden, he put in the work. Game 4, same thing, just attacking. That's RJ's best attribute, is that he can get to the rim at will. So if he could start mixing up little ways here and there how to do it, go about it, he's only going to get himself better. But the fact that he could do so, right? And it's year 5, kid's still 22, right? He's had a different coach every year. Obviously, the last 3 years, yes, but different teams, different systems every single year. He's still adapted and found ways. And this year, he's still, I think he's like 0.5 shy of averaging 20 points per game. Like, he just barely missed it by a point. So he's definitely, I think, finding himself still. But I think people got to be patient. You know what I mean? Everybody wants everything right now, and it just doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? And you could look at, like, I'm just going to throw out an extreme case. Look at Steph Curry, man. When did Steph really start balling?
You know what I'm saying? A couple years.
There's only a handful of guys that come into the league and produce at that rate right off the bat. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you have to wait for them to come into their own. Look at Kobe. Kobe did the same thing. I'm looking at, you know what I'm saying, the poster on your wall, rest in peace. But everybody goes through it, man. Like, everybody's got to learn what they're good at and figure out how to make themselves better in the most efficient way. And I think RJ's doing that, just in a different way. Yeah, it's not happening as fast as everybody wants, but he's still on a team right now as a third option and producing when he needs to. You know what I'm saying? So boom. It's just, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody, number 3 draft pick, right? Porzingis left. There was a hole there. Then you get the number 3 pick. It's RJ. RJ came in with, you know what I'm saying, that demeanor, that killer mentality, that dog. So everybody's riding behind him. And why wouldn't you want this kid to succeed? So now you go through, you get here and it's like, what have you really, done so much? Did you make that big jump? Maybe it's not as big as people want, but I don't know. For me, man, I always kind of looked at year 5. I know I must spoke before. This is year 4 for RJ. I always looked at year 5 as to when I expected him to really make a big jump and figure it out. You know what I mean? And we're not even there yet. So I'm cool with RJ, man. But Mitch Robb, you want to look at a performance that has improved steadily season to season to season. Mitch Robb, man, right? There was games year 1, year 2. He couldn't stay in the game. He was fouling out every game. You know what I'm saying? So he slowly nipped those in the butt. I want to say like 2, maybe Tibbs' first year, I think it was. Or maybe it was the last year of Fizz with Mike Miller. He started putting up double-doubles. And you're starting to look at this guy like, all right, if we could get a double-double, an average, double-double out of him a game, you can't go wrong with that, right? Like, you got guys like Enes Kanter on the team that were doing that. So you're just looking to replace that production. But in reality, you don't need your center to really put up 20 points a night. You just need him to do exactly what Mitch Robinson does. And I think Jared Allen described it beautifully last night, literally word for word. Mitchell Robin is the best offensive rebounder in the league.
Man, absolutely. Cleans up the glass. And I mean, I also, like to give him credit for his defense, the way he's a reliable pick and roll and lob option every single time. He's always a great lob option. So what I want to ask you is, like, clearly, we got different contributions from Mitch Robb, from RJ Barrett, from IQ, and all in, in different facets and different categories of the game. But to you, like to Danny B, who had the biggest impact? Besides, of course, besides the Jalen Brunsons, the Josh Harts that stepped up and guarded the other team's best player and really defensively did a great job. Who to you had the biggest impact of the rotational players? Because I mean, in Game 5, 6 of the Knicks players scored 12 or more points. So everybody's contributions here has helped out.
So if we're talking series,
series.
Mitch Robb all day. It has to be. He was quietly probably 1 or 2 of the best players in that series, the whole series, right? Because there was a game where Brunson didn't really show out, but Mitch Robb still got his work done. I don't want to compare him like that, but yeah, I definitely would say Brunson, Mitch, 100%. 100%. If you want to talk season, you could definitely throw IQ up in there, because he definitely had a very impactful season and helped out in many ways throughout. And I think he had a very big impact. You could definitely talk about Grimes, although there's an argument against it because of the points, I'm saying, that he's putting up at the same time, but that defense is so underrated, I'm saying, at the same time, locking up guys, all-stars on other guys' teams nightly, on a nightly basis. But yeah, definitely this series, Mitch, man.
Mitch Robb. Okay.
MVP, bro.
I love that. All right. So then, that now we know the Cavs are eliminated. Cavs are gone. So no point in staying, hanging up, talking about.
I ain't talking about Cancun, bro. Unless you got a plane ticket for me, I ain't trying to talk about Cancun, and that's where the Cavs are at. So let's
Exactly, man.
talk our next game.
So he exactly, man. Let's go ahead and keep it pushing, and let's talk about the predictions. Okay, so the Cavs are out of here. They're in Cancun. They're enjoying, and now we got the Knicks versus the Heat in this next matchup. So talk to me about some of your predictions, some of the things you're thinking about. Some thoughts you're having as a Knicks fan coming into this series.
All right. Well, you got to remember, my Knicks just sent the Cavs packing last night, so I might be talking with a little bit of
It's all good.
bravado. You know what I'm saying? I might have a little bit of extra bass in my voice. You know what I mean? Um, who besides Jimmy, playoff Jimmy? When first of all, you say playoff Jimmy, I say Brunson. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm saying Brunson. Besides Jimmy, you got Bam. All right. Right. Who else can you literally rely on? Kyle Lowry, you can't rely on like that.
Heroes
Tyler
injured.
Hero's out.
Victor
Duncan
Oladipo's out.
Robinson.
Yeah.
Duncan Robinson is the equivalent of Karis LeVert. You want to talk comparisons, right? No, for real though.
Mhm.
He could go off one night. I think he had 20 points the other night. He can go off, absolutely. You got Max Strus. You're gonna have to keep him, you know what I'm saying? Keep him at bay a little bit. These are all guys that aren't consistently good. You know what I'm saying? So you look at the center position. All right, you got Bam, great. I got Mitch, and I got Hartenstein. You know what I'm saying? That's out the window. Like, what else are we talking? I mean, Caleb Martin. You know what I'm saying? I got Grimes. I got IQ. I didn't even talk about Josh Hart yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're deep, and people underrate that so much, man. We got so many different ways to attack, right? Last series, the biggest adjustment that Tibbs made that JB Bickerstaff had no answer for is that Tibbs started throwing guard screens out there for Brunson. And that eliminated the threat of the big being in the mix, taking that completely out. Boom. And all of a sudden, Cavs had no answer. So it's like you make little adjustments like that, and that's big. So you look at that coaching matchup between the Cavs and the Knicks. You had JB Bickerstaff, you had Tom Thibodeau. All right, I would say Tom Thibodeau definitely had the upper hand. I would say that before the series even started. You just look at them; he's got more playoff experience right off the bat. Boom. All right, now he's up against, you know what I'm saying, Eric Spoelstra. Guy's got tons of experience. You know what I'm saying? Look at the adjustment that he made last night on that last play in regulation where the alley-oop was thrown up to Butler, right? You know what I'm saying? He subbed out Bam. He didn't sub out Bam. He pulled out Bam. So that way Lopez left the paint and had that whole paint open. You know what I'm saying? Left the lob right open. That's a huge adjustment. And Budenholzer didn't even recognize it. So little things like that are going to be key. I like what Thibodeau showed me throughout this first series. It's showing me that he's willing to adjust and he's willing to do what it takes and willing to make those little adjustments, which I did not see in the Atlanta series at all 2 years ago. So I'm psyched, man. I am psyched because I'm saying Knicks in 6 just because I give them the respect, but I don't see them beating us.
Yeah, I'm right
I
there
don't see
with
them
you.
beating us. Bro, I just went up to look on the line today. I was going to put some money on a series. We are, what's the word I'm looking for, man? I'm losing it, right?
Favorites?
Yes, we're the favorites. We're the
Absolutely.
favorites. The Heat are the underdogs. Like,
Absolutely.
that's what I'm talking about.
The Heat don't, in my opinion, the Heat just don't match up with you guys, right? I mean, the Knicks,
It's a decent matchup, but
it
we're
is.
just deeper.
It
We're
is.
just
It is.
deeper.
And I think the thing about the Heat, and I think that's what really got him over in this Milwaukee series is not only the great coaching of Eric Spoelstra, but we all know they got that dog in them. Jimmy Butler is the leader of that pack, really got that dog. But the thing is, you can't look at the Knicks and say that you can't say the Knicks don't. The Knicks
That's the
just
thing.
proved they
We
just
got
out
more.
hustled.
We got more dogs.
They out hustled them. They had that same dog mentality. I mean, Josh Hart. Did we have any idea that Josh Hart would step up and play this great defensive series that he did against Donovan Mitchell, like arguably a top 5 player in this league? And I mean, I think Josh Hart is going to do the same thing on Jimmy Butler, give him no space to breathe, to be all over him. You talked about the importance of Mitch Robb and Isaiah Hartenstein, just being monsters on the glass. We know that Bam Adebayo really hasn't been the Bam Adebayo that we've known that he can be at. So honestly, my only question for the Knicks and my only, I guess, concern, and that's kind of what I want to ask you is like, how do you feel about Julius Randle's health, coming into the series? I know he re-aggravated that ankle injury. But besides that, I mean, that's the only pro I think I see the Heat have on this. But besides that, I also have Knicks in 6.
Yo, so this is the thing, right? When I was just talking to you about matchups, right, and this and that, I didn't even have to throw out Randall, right? Like that's the thing. We're deep. We have so many different weapons. We have so many different ways to score. You don't necessarily need him. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you want him to play, right? He's a 25, 10, and 5 guy all day. So you want him to play. And he's a tank, right? Who else is as much of a tank coming down the paint? The only other person I'm thinking is LeBron.
Yeah, like LeBron or Zion. That's about it.
Right. And Zion doesn't play. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Listen, if Zion plays a little more games, I'll give him that. Yes, absolutely. But I got to see you more, man. Yeah. So it's like, I understand that the importance of needing Randall, absolutely. But I still think that the Knicks have what it takes to get it done, even without him. Without him, man. There was definitely something else I was going to point out. Oh, man. Just in terms of adjustments and little, matchups like that and stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I really am. The dog aspect is definitely a big piece of it there. The one thing, this is what I was going to say, right, is a big thing for the Knicks during the Cavs series was locking up Mitchell and keeping him so locked down, everybody else had to make plays, right? And that worked. Mitchell was shut down, so much so to a point where it's like I didn't see any fire under him into wanting to break out away from that and even try to make an impact. He was really letting his guys cook. And Garland can cook, yes, but he ain't ready to have the game put on his shoulders like that. You know what I mean? So you just apply that same mentality to the Heat and Butler. You know what I mean? And so now you're going to be forcing everybody else to make plays. And so historically, when we've played the Heat, right, we've seen them throw zone at us. We know that these guys work. They know how to break the zone now. This ain't freaking, you know what I'm saying? This ain't last year. I'm not really worried about that too much. We've seen doubles thrown at Brunson, high, low, thrown at Randall, you know what I'm saying? And I've seen late flash doubles thrown at him, you know what I'm saying? Like give him the green light thinking he's got it, and then just, you know what I'm saying, step in, towards the last second and just give him that awkward, having to change up. But we've still found ways to work. If you've watched this last series, especially last night, Randall, before he got hurt, he played 16 minutes, right? He got 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists in that 16 minutes that he played. The biggest thing for me, he let the game come to him completely. He didn't force anything. He didn't force up any shots. If he had the room, he shot it. If he didn't, he dished it out. And this last series, he really was super pointed about making the right pass. Yes, there was a couple of times where, especially in game 2, where we were a little bit shook and just didn't make the right pass. There was a lot of plays like that. But for the most part, he really did well passing out of the double teams. Brunson too. And the funny thing is, Brunson doesn't even have to pass it out of the double teams half the time because he freaking, jukes and jives and
man,
gets it in regardless.
You got crazy footwork, man. Brunson got that crazy footwork. His pivot game is crazy.
Insane,
every
bro.
single time down court. Yeah, that is crazy, man. So yeah, I mean, when we look at that matchup, Knicks versus Heat, I think just everything favors the Knicks. And then so that kind of leads me, to my next question is like, all right, well, on the other side of the bracket, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen between the Celtics and the Hawks today. I mean, I got the Celtics. I think the majority of the people got Celtics as well.
Definitely.
And then that means that
you're going to pull it out.
And then that means it'd be Celtics and 76ers on the other end, whoever you would have coming out of that. So who are you like, and we don't have to get crazy into this. I know this is like a whole series ahead, but who are you seeing in that Eastern Conference finals then, since with the Knicks? We know the Knicks are getting past the Heat.
I think Boston. I think Boston is deeper than Philly. I think they have more fire than Philly. But the thing is, for me, it don't even matter. Like the only team that I was iffy about in the East was the Bucks. And the Heat just proved to the world that the Bucks were weak. Yeah, the food, man. So it's like there. So now what? Every other team left in the playoffs, we've won the season series on. So I ain't worried about it. You know what I'm saying? I kind of want Boston. I want that matchup. I want to beat Boston in Boston. I want to send Boston packing. I'm pretty sure that was the game that Josh Hart threw up the point. When Jason Tatum got ejected for the 2 techs. That was the game Josh Hart literally told him, "Get out of here, man." Like, I love that. Like, who else is giving you that on a consistent basis, man? You know, I want that. I definitely want that. Imagine Knicks and Cavs with the whole Donovan Mitchell episode, then the Knicks and Heat in the second round. You know, like just so reminiscent of the '90s vibes. Then you go to round 3, Knicks Celtics for the Eastern Conference Finals. You know, like
That's what it's
just
about.
doesn't get
That's what
better
it's
than that,
about.
man.
Nothing's better than that, baby. And one thing I say is like I think that the three fan bases, like when they're popping, which is I think New York Knicks, the Lakers, and the Celtics, when they're popping, like basketball is just fun to watch. Basketball is just
They got the
exciting.
biggest fan bases
Mm-hmm.
and the most of the biggest fan bases. They're the most like active and what's a good word I'm looking for? Like rambunctious. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy. Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
crazy.
obnoxious. You could use any one of those words for sure. You know, and so you get that much more interaction with the league itself. You know what I mean? And that's always good for the for business, good for the sport.
Facts, man. Facts. Well, all
What
right. So
what about I want to know what you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? What do you see between Boston and Atlanta?
mhm.
You know, Philly, like if Philly obviously ends up playing Boston, what do you see there? And then I want real quick, what are you thinking on the other side?
On the
You know,
on the west
let's
on the
talk
west
about
side.
let's talk about the West Coast.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I agree with you. I do think the Celtics are going to be able to beat the Hawks, and they're going to play Philly. I also agree with you on that Philly series. I think Boston is just ultimately the deep. I think they're the deepest team in the league. Period. Not just in the not. Danny D's like I don't know about that, but
I can make an argument.
so I think that the the Celtics will be able to get past the 76ers and also meet you guys in that Eastern Conference Finals. But I mean, if we skip over to the other side, right? Let's go to the West. I the Suns dodged a bullet, man. I think if the Clippers would have been fully healthy, I do think the Suns would have seen the first round exit. In my opinion, I think they just didn't have enough time
They're
together,
not gelled yet. Yeah.
not gelled, right? But I mean, now that they won a series, even if they win this next series, they'll have some more time together. Then they might be looking a little more dangerous. I do have the Suns beating the Nuggets in their matchup and moving on to the Western Conference Finals, only because I mean Jokic, his pick and roll defense has been notoriously called out, right? And he's going against the pick and roll god in CP. He's going against KD, who's amazing at being able to go off the mid range and get to his midi pull up. Devin Booker just all out scorer. So I just don't see that matchup really favoring the Denver Nuggets. So I have the Suns coming out of that to be in the Western Conference, and then Warriors Kings. I do got the Warriors finishing that out, and then Lakers and Grizzlies. I mean, you see what's going on right here, man. I do. I definitely got the Lakers. Not only
Yeah,
because
I'm
I'm a
riding
Lakers,
with you, bro. I can't stand the Grizzlies. I
I
really can't, man.
can't
I hope you
stand them,
guys. I was pissed
man.
you guys didn't beat them last night.
Man, see,
Last night or the night before, man.
it was last night. It
It
was just
was
last
last
night.
night,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll say this. I'm not saying I got the Lakers simply just because I'm a Lakers fan. I think that in this matchup against the Grizzlies, it favors the Lakers, right? It favors the Lakers, especially with Steven Adams being out, Brendan Clark being out. I mean, John Morant has this little wrist injury that he's fighting through. But I think even fully healthy, the Lakers are just since the trade deadline, since
They
their
just have to
trade,
be locked in.
they're just I think they're just a better team. So then that I think that it would be Lakers and Warriors facing on in that conference semifinals. And with that, I think it'd be a dogfight. I think it'd go back and forth. But I ultimately do have the Lakers in 6, and here's why. I think that the Lakers can. I talked about playoffs is all about matchups, and the Lakers can match up what the Warriors can do. Right, the Lakers can run a small ball lineup, whether you run Rui at the 5 or Wendy and Gabriel at the 5 versus the Warriors. They don't really have a big man lineup to run when the Lakers want to run with AD out there. So I think to myself, I mean, if Kevon Looney and the Warriors are having trouble with Sabonis, which don't get me wrong, like Sabonis has been doing his thing great big in this league, but when you compare Sabonis and AD, there's levels to this. Like AD is not fully healthy. But when I say, I say whenever AD is out there and he is playing, in my opinion, he's the best big in this league. He's the best big on both ends. And I think that the Warriors just simply won't have an answer for that. And I think that'll be a good series. It'll go Warriors, Lakers, and then conference finals. It'd be Suns, Lakers, and by that time, I think the Suns would have had some continuity, some time to gel, and ultimately that matchup I think does favor the Suns in my opinion. But you don't look
You
like
just
you
make
agree
me
with me,
start thinking KD, LeBron, like that
man.
would be fun, man.
That'll be fun, and even the series before, seeing LeBron and Curry,
Oh yeah.
we just seen them go,
Yeah, very
you know,
true.
go back and forth. So honestly, man, I think the NBA is just at a great place right now with real excitement. Um, But ultimately, I would have the Suns beating out the Lakers and making it to the West out of making it out of the West, man. But
So you seeing Suns in Boston?
I am seeing Suns in Boston. I am seeing Suns in Boston.
Okay. And so who you seeing being the champ?
I ultimately got to stick with my pick that I had at the beginning of the season, man, and that's the Celtics, man. I think that not only do the Celtics have, like I mentioned, have that deepest team in the league, but I also
I
think
should
they
have
got
known that with that comment.
I also think they got scar tissue, man. Scar tissue is a real thing in this league.
I
I
agree.
mean, Jason Tatum as like the guy, right? Jason Tatum always talks about, representing Kobe and being like Kobe and like Mamba and all this, right? Kobe Bryant often talks about that 2008 loss that he had against the Celtics. So that's one of his worst losses. He held out onto that. In 2010, when he came back, he said they destroyed the Celtics. That was one of his best wins, right? I think Jason Tatum and that team is holding on to the fact that they choked. They choked last year in the biggest possible stage that you could do it at. And then they had to go through the whole drama of, the Ime Udoka situation, but they were still able to stay on top. I think that they've sacrificed and they've done so much to get to where they're at. I think with the
Tatum had a
deepness
good
of the
season.
team, and I think the Celtics got to get it this year, man.
I hear you. I definitely hear you. I just feel like I've seen them get to a point where they break down.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like even in the Atlanta game the other night, the way that Atlanta stole that game, man, Atlanta stole that game from Boston, right?
Yeah.
That to me shows you got a weakness, right? Like a tough game like that, you got the Knicks that are, first of all, they're deep, right? If you're going to talk about deep teams, Lakers, not the Lakers, Celtics and the Knicks are both two deep teams. I still think the Knicks are deeper, and not only deeper, but I think deeper in attitude, right? Deeper in digging deep, deeper in that killer mentality. You know what I'm saying? Even the freaking one of the last guys on our bench that could touch that court, Deuce McBride, he's gonna go out there and he'll defend Brown, he'll defend Tatum, no problem. He went out there, I think, for 3 or 4 minutes 2 games ago, and defended Mitchell, no problem. Did great, knocked down a 3 out the game, and we kept rolling. You know what I'm saying? So little things like that matter. And so when I've seen Boston be beaten down in games before, you know what I'm saying, and lose the games like that, to me, that's very telling, And first of all, Knicks got the season series against Boston. Knicks got a couple big wins in Boston. You know what I'm saying? And the Knicks got some scar tissue too. Guys like Julius Randle, guys like RJ, Mitch wasn't there 2 years ago. He didn't even get to play. Look how he balled out in this first series. Scar tissue is real.
Yeah,
he like you said, bro. Yeah. I think that it's up there. I feel like it's not so locked in that Celtics could be the the Eastern Conference finals going through the to the championship. I don't see it being that locked in. I think it's definitely up in the air, and I think the Knicks have a great shot right now to really make a statement and really put New York back on the map. And I think that's overlooked a lot, but I'm not saying that Boston doesn't have a great team. They definitely do. I don't want to come off like that whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying the Knicks have their number.
I would love to see the Knicks in the finals. I'll say that. I'd love to see the Knicks in the finals. But are you in agreement to me in the West, or do you have something different going on in the West? How do you feel about that?
Man, so the one thing, I don't know. I was thinking about the Laker-Warrior matchup that you mentioned, right? I like the matchup. I don't know, because they're so quick, Curry, Thompson. You got so many guys that just move, man. Poole. And it's tough. Like, yeah, you're right. The small ball to, what I'm saying, to the bigs matchup, like that's tough. But I still think that the Warriors have been through enough, and Steve Kerr specifically, that they'll figure out a way to attack it or exploit it, you know what I mean, and work it. So I don't know if that'll be such a big prominent narrative throughout the season itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, it's definitely there. I just don't know how much it'll play. You know what I'm saying? You got to have Anthony Davis.
And that's a big ask. Ask him to be healthy.
Consistent. That's a big ask. The one thing I like though a lot is AR. I think Reeves is he's got some talent, man, and he's doing some real good things. And I think that that's what Bron needs is somebody like that can run and gun. You know what I mean? It's like that J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert vibe, right? Like this guy could run the floor. You saw him throwing lobs up, no look behind him. Like he's got it. You know what I'm saying? And I think Bron likes that, right? Like you saw the way that Bron and Caruso, gelled back and forth. Bron can work with that, So Lakers got some weapons too. I just don't know if they're built for the longevity of it all.
Man, yeah, they do have an older team, and I agree. No,
I don't want to say older.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say older, but I just don't know if they can last. You know what I mean? Maybe it's due to age. I just hate pinning it on it. You know what I mean? But you're gonna need guys like D'Lo to go off. Those 2 threes he hit the other night. I can't remember what night anymore, but I think it was last night. Yeah, he hit those 2 threes, man. That was clutch. Without those Lakers, you know what I'm saying? They wouldn't have been able to pull up like that. Those are big. People gotta show out, and you gotta do it consistently. And I don't know if the Lakers can do it consistent enough. We'll see. They're back in LA next, right?
Yeah, they have their game 6 against the Grizzlies tomorrow. So that'll be a big game.
Friday
but
night.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Lakers, all the role players definitely got to step up. I mean, more than anything, of course, Anthony Davis has to be the best big in the league that he can be, but also, AR has to bring his offensive productivity. Ruchi Hakamura has to continue to be this offensive monster. He has been.
He's starting to figure it out in his role on that squad, and that's important.
Mm-hmm. And Jared Vanderbilt has to continue to be this great defender that he's been. Dennis Schroeder can't have those poop games where he has like 4 points. Like he has to continuously be that guy. When I talk about Dennis Schroeder to my friends, I say like I think him and AR are very similar to kind of what they do on the team. Like they provide LeBron a break. They say like LeBron, like we can score, we can create for ourselves, we can create off the dribble, we can go get a bucket ourselves. You don't need to set us up. You don't need to be the playmaker, setting everything up, giving us a dime to get to the hoop. So that's why I love AR and Dennis Schroeder, but they are going to have to both be big. But I think one of the key factors besides AD is going to be Malik Beasley. He's got to hit. He's got to hit his threes. All he's on that team to do is shoot threes.
You're right.
And I watch every Lakers game. He has not been very good so far this season as far as hitting these threes. So he's got to be consistent hitting his threes and, just be locked in because there'll be a tough matchup for the Lakers against the Warriors, man.
The other thing I wanted to mention was the Nuggets. Jamal Murray. He turns it up come playoff time. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen flashes of it, but I haven't seen it consistent yet in these playoffs. You know what I'm saying? And I think that he's slowly getting more comfortable. And I think that's another aspect of it. Like, yeah, you're right. With Jokic on the pick and rolls. But I still think that there's another level to Denver, and I don't know if we've seen it just yet. So I keep that in mind. You know what I mean? But man, Suns gelling. I kind of like how you laid it out. The only thing is, I don't know if who you said it would be. Who would the Nuggets be playing next?
If the Nuggets beat the Suns, then they'd be playing in the conference finals the winners of the. I mean, I think it's gonna be Lakers and Warriors.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a good matchup too. Nuggets and Warriors. But man, I don't know what else.
But I've been saying like this NBA. I feel like I haven't seen a season this exciting, and like we're talking about a 5th seed Knicks. Like they have championship potential. They have
There's a path.
That's what I'm saying. So I feel like I haven't seen this kind of excitement. I haven't seen collapse like the 1-8 in the freaking Heat Bucks series in a long time. So that's I kind of want to get your thoughts on that, right? Like that was another big series. That was a huge collapse. I mean, like that was the 6th time in NBA history the 8th seed knocked off the 1st seed.
Well,
all because of Jimmy freaking Butler. So talk to me. I don't know if you got to see that series.
Jimmy Butler and Giannis, right? Because Giannis missed 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's the defensive play finals MVP. You know what I'm saying? Like how many awards has this guy gotten in the last freaking 5 years? You know what I'm saying? He's just everywhere and he does everything. He's a big piece to that team. And I think that they did their best trying to hold on without him. He came back in that must-win game, and it just, it's tough. I think that the injuries are such an underrated part of seasons, and I think that, the teams that have gotten to where they got, have had that play into it, whether it was throughout the season with their own team where they've had to, go through it, or, they've had guys go down on their own team, and, Knicks are dealing with it too with Randall, Randall being down. But the Heat took advantage, man. Heat smelled blood in the water, and they went after and they got him. You know what I'm saying? And listen, kudos for them for getting it done. But I don't know. That's a different series if Giannis is healthy. You know what I'm saying? Fully healthy. So we talked about it. We broke down the Heat, the Heat roster, the Knicks, and how they match up and stuff. And it's like, did they match up well against the Bucks also? You know what I mean? Or did things just kind of play out the way that they played out? And I feel like in that series, it played out the way they played out, but the Heat also took advantage of it and ran with it. And that is that right there is something that you got to be on the lookout for, because that's what these playoffs are about. Playoffs are a different breed than the regular season. Teams get hot and they go on a run. You don't think the Heat are going to be amped up after just knocking out the Bucks, after coming through the play-in? You don't think Jimmy Butler's saying, like, we here, it don't matter what seed you get in, all you got to do is get in. So you got to be on the lookout for that too. That says a lot also, but man, it's tough. Look at the Lakers. The Lakers had dealt with injuries all season and everything else, you know what I'm saying? And they ended up where they are. So their path became what it was due to all of that. So they had a harder time now getting to the title just from that alone. So it's like there's so many aspects of it, man. But like you said, right now it makes it so exciting because of everything that's played out. You got all these, you got the Knicks, you got the Celtics, you got the Lakers, you got the Memphis Grizzlies up and coming. A lot of people, digging that. You got the Hawks, Trae Young, Murray, you know what I'm saying? With those acquisitions that were taken, it's just like you got so many different, what you were explaining that kind of hit me was that there's a lot of even level playing fields. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, of course, year after year, there's a conference that's more dominant than the other, but I feel like for the most part, like, they're not so lopsided right now. It is pretty across the board, and that's good for the sport because it's just more competition, and that right now is another piece to the excitement that I'm feeling, at least.
Man, I'm right there with you. I mean, I've been watching basketball really since, to be honest with you, like really, really watching every year, probably since around like 07, 08. I'm 24, so I've been really kind of watching for some time now. And I remember like every year, like I kind of really not knew who's gonna be in the finals, but I had a good hunch of who was gonna get there. While all throughout the Warriors and Cavs time, I was like, I
Oh
kind of
yeah,
knew who it was. But this season, you just really
but it
don't
was
know who's
LeBron.
gonna get to the finals,
The
right?
answer
Like
was always LeBron.
exactly.
You know,
But this year, you just don't know anymore, and I mean that's the kind of excitement that really brings fans like us out and brings it on to the edge of our seat. But
yeah.
just
Can I just mention the
talk to me.
Cavs, the
Yeah,
Cavs, the Mavs? Can I just mention the Mavs?
what a mess.
I'm just gonna mention them. That's all I'm gonna
Talk
do.
to me.
Mavericks. That's all. Mavericks.
Talk to me. I can't believe
Crazy.
I cannot believe that they gambled on Kyrie. I don't even think he's gonna resign.
And for
I don't.
what? For nothing. You didn't even try to make the play-in. Where literally you got teams like the Heat and the Lakers that tried for it, got in, and it's like now they're on the brink of being the first two teams to make it out the first round.
Man,
You
man,
just
oh
gotta
man,
want it. What does that
man,
say
oh man.
about your team, your organization, your drive? You
Yeah,
know,
but I mean, as a Knicks fan, you're happy though, right? Because they
oh,
just
100%.
handed Brunson to you.
That's what I'm saying, man. Just all of it. It's just crazy to me. Like, if you're Luka Doncic, what does that say to you? Like, that's to me why he was so down.
Mhm.
Like, it's like, do they even care? They just swung. Yeah, you just took a swing on Kyrie and nothing else. You didn't do anything else, nothing else. And what happened? Nothing. You just literally ruined Luka Doncic's team and his
Man,
playoff chances and everything. So now you're causing a schism. You know what I'm saying? You're literally that organization, man. They got some
question
fixing to do.
got a lot of a lot of question marks, a lot of question marks. But
Yep, a lot of
uh,
explaining to do.
man, but all right, brother. So look, man. I mean, we seen that terrible collapse from the Cavs. We've seen the terrible collapse from the Bucks. We've just seen the NBA turn upside down on its head. We talked about a lot here today, but before I get you out of here, you know what I'm saying? Before we get out of here, I got to get your thoughts on this. I don't know if you were able to check out Giannis's like post game comments and some of the questions that he had, but I'm gonna go ahead and play this video real quick. It's about like 1 minute video. You let me know your
What up?
thoughts. We'll talk on that after. All right.
Definitely.
I just asked Bud the exact same question, but I'm curious for you. Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God. Okay, because I'm not that up. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay, do you get the promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, I don't know, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success, you know. And if you've never, I don't want to make it personal. So there's always steps to it, you know. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me? No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no?
No, I mean, I don't think so.
Okay, exactly. So why you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. You know, there's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful, some days you're not. Some days it's your turn, some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's gonna win. And this year, somebody else is gonna win. Simple as that. We're gonna come back next year, try to be better, try to build good habits, try to play better, not have a 10-day stretch with playing bad basketball, you know, and hopefully we can win a championship. So 50 years from 1971 to 2021 that we didn't win a championship, it was 50 years of failures? No, it was not. It was steps to it, you know, and we were able to win one. Hopefully we can win another one. You know, sorry that I didn't want to make it personal because you asked me the same question last year, and last year I was in the right mind space to answer the question back.
All right, brother. That was a lot. Tell me some of your thoughts on that.
He's 100% right, because I would have said the same thing. I did say the same thing in the beginning of the season with the Knicks, right? If the Knicks don't make it to the playoffs, is that a failure? It's the same mindset, you know what I'm saying? And it all has to do with your own personal expectations, and everybody's personal expectations are going to be different. If the Knicks made the play-in, right, the season's not a failure. They still accomplished a goal, a path to get to the postseason. If they made it to the first round and lost in 5 games like the Cavs did, is the season a failure? I don't think so, because they took a step now as a collective, right? The Knicks got a point guard. That's a huge plus right there. They signed Mitch Robinson to extension. They gave RJ an extension. They signed everybody that they wanted. They built a base, you know what I'm saying, and instilled winning habits and a culture. And they took steps forward, right? Like 2 years ago in the Hawks series, I saw the foundation of the team that we see right now then take steps forward throughout the season, where at one point in the season, I said this team can win every single game. They're in every game. They have a chance to win every game. Every game is winnable, right? Last season, I never got to that point. I waited for that point the whole season, never got there. This season, I got there. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the little things. Now, to me, that's a positive. You upgraded your roster. You took the base that you had. You committed to them. You added depth to it, right? With the point guard, with adding Isaiah Hartenstein, right? With swinging with another trade, bringing on a guy like Josh Hart, who had a Derrick Rose-esque impression on this team at the same time of the trade deadline. These are all steps that you're taking as an organization. And if we circle back to the beginning of this pod 40 minutes ago, right? We were talking about progress, and it's not always linear, right? So now you have to zoom out, because every fan of every team analyzes every play in every moment, but they never really step back and look at things as a whole. And I don't even mean just as a whole of the season. I mean as a whole in the last 3 years, right? Because you got to give an organization 3 to 5 years as a window to at least show you that they're building on the foundation and starting to build a house, right? And I think that they've showed you that. Year 1, Tibbs came in, right? Boom. Defense is the identity. Boom. 4th seed. Boom. Playoffs. Right off the bat. Way sooner than anybody expected, right? And that's the other piece of it, is now that you're jumping people's expectations higher and higher and higher. We made the playoffs the first time that we had these guys. Now we got to make it the next year, right? The following year, the Knicks made a couple of signings, didn't really work out, and so they tried to add to that base that they saw that they had and build it out, but they bought the wrong pieces, right? So they had to take them down. They had to go buy more pieces. And that's what they did this season. And this season, it was the right pieces. The pieces fit. Now they got walls. You know what I'm saying? So it depends how you look at it. If you look at it within the season, was this season a success for the Knicks? Yes. They won they got out the first round. That's just easy. Was it a failure for the Bucks? You could look at it and say, yeah, you didn't get back to even the Eastern Conference Finals. You know what I mean? But at the same time, how can you admit that in a world where not everything is the end of the world? And that just speaks to me more about Giannis's outlook on life and his outlook on the game than it does about it actually being a failure, because technically it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like it's just more than picking that conversation apart. There's so much more context to it,
Yeah. I actually love the way you broke that down, because honestly, so far I've only been seeing like either you totally disagree with Giannis or you totally agree with Giannis. I love how you really talked about how the fact that like this is just shows more of Giannis's like outlook on life and all that, and I actually really do agree. But I'm not gonna lie, where I see the perspective, and I agree with everything you said with the Knicks, right, or like really any other team that I feel like
Yeah, you
wasn't
could apply the same
right,
logic to every team. It's just
right.
concepts.
Exactly, right. And I agree exactly with like what you said with like with the Knicks. And it's like the Knicks have been making their their progression every single year. And maybe just because you don't just win the championship doesn't mean it was a failure. But I'm not gonna lie, in this instance with the Bucks, in my opinion, I do think this season was a failure, right? And here's why, right? And I really do respect the fact that Giannis was he was respectful about it, right? Because I mean, think about it. Like, you're frustrated in that situation. You're bothered. Like, you're pissed off. All this is going on. You haven't even had time to process the emotions. And now you got people asking you these questions. Like, I give a lot of props to Giannis. A lot of people just would have went off on that reporter and maybe did a lot more. So I give a lot of respect and props to Giannis for not making it personal, being nice about it. But I mean, my
Well,
opinion,
he's the leader of the team at the same time. What is he going to say? Yes, it was a failure. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? You have to step around that in a certain light. And like I said, it speaks more to Giannis than it does about the actual question.
exactly, right. And then as I just think that, like, in my opinion, I mean, like, you're looking at the number 1 seed just got knocked off by the number 8 seed. The Bucks just became the 3rd team in NBA history to have the best season, the best regular best season, best schedule. I mean, best record in the regular season, and then get 2 or less wins in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not only were the Bucks favored to win this series, they were favorites to win like the whole thing. So in my opinion, like for the fact that you lose, like I wouldn't sit here and say like, all right, like the Bucks organization is a failure, but this season, in my opinion, you gotta look at it as a failure. You just lost to the number 8.
They're going to get a new coach. That's my opinion.
They better get a new coach. I mean, they didn't call a timeout with 0.7 seconds left in regulation. They continued to run that terrible drop coverage even after Jimmy kept killing him. I mean, game 4s and 5, Jimmy Butler combined for 98 points. At some point, you talked about
You
it.
have to
You
do
got to make the
something
adjustment.
different.
You
Yep.
gotta do it. Whether it's a double, whether it's a triple, whether it's a box and one, you gotta do something. And I just
Yep.
think that, like, if Bud, I'll be honest with you, if Bud wouldn't have got that one championship that they got in 2021, I think he would have been fired back then.
I think so too. I never looked at him as like a big adjustments guy. I always kind of looked at him as like he just let his team do what they do. Like he really didn't. I don't know. That was just how I always felt that he came off.
Man, I'm right there with you, brother. But all right, brother. So look, we've talked about the East, talked about the West. So my
Hell
final
yeah.
question, and we can kind of wrap it up on this. I know who you got coming out the East. I know who you got coming out the West. But who you got winning it all in how many games? I know this is I know it's like 2 rounds out, but come on, give me a real quick.
Can I just go like this? This is my thinking face. How does he do it again? Like this?
I think you do with the 3, yeah.
Yep. Man, I gotta say the Warriors.
Okay,
I just think that they have so much experience. You know what I'm saying? And they have some depth. I don't know. I just if I gotta point something out there, I can't put my Knicks out there. I love my Knicks, but I can't jinx them. I can't throw them under the bus like that. My Knicks are gonna work for it, and if they win it, they win it. But I ain't gonna try to I'm not putting that energy out there. Yeah, I don't even want to speak too much more of it, man.
All right, now that's cool. I'll take it. I'll take the Warriors. I'll take the Warriors. I like that. And
I ain't gotta say no more. I told you. I said it.
Yeah, you already said it. And look, man, when it happens, you know what I'm saying? When teams get there, we'll definitely bring Danny B back on.
Yeah,
Danny
we'll
B will
talk. We'll
definitely
talk again.
we'll
100%.
definitely talk about it, man. But for the family out there, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, man. I hope you guys, got a chance to get another look at my guy Danny B. Second appearance on the Clutch Talk show. So, my guy, we really appreciate you coming on. Do you have any last words to say before we sign off out of here?
Man, the New York Knicks are going to the Eastern semis. Let's go. New York Knicks are mid no more. What else we got, man? What else we got?
Oh man, I love it.
I need more minutes. I got drops for days, bro.
I love it, man. I love it, man. For the family out there, make sure you don't
Knicks
forget
in
to
6.
Knicks
That's what I'll leave y'all with.
Knicks in 6, baby. Knicks in 6, man. And for the family, don't make sure you don't forget to go check out all of Danny B's content, man. Everything will be linked in the description down below. Danny B's Morning Drive, the Knicks Wall Podcast, man. Danny B's real active in the NBA community, man. So don't you worry. On Twitter, social medias, everything will be linked in the description down below. Get at my guy, and that's it, man. If that's it, then we out of here, y'all. Let's talk out. Peace.
I appreciate y'all, man. Be good.
Sir.